Good morning and welcome to the United States Air Force 24.2 Cyber Cycle for the Digital Twin. Welcome, we're glad you're here on behalf of the United States Air Force and SBCC. My name is Cody Ray. I'm going to be moderating this event today. We have several folks from SBCC here helping. Joel Fraser running slides. Nick Musgrove is going to be on site with the TPOCs assisting there. And we have a team of folks here to help this run smoothly and make sure you get all of your questions asked and answered appropriately. And just to say, again, we're glad you're here. In fact, you're why SBCC exists. We at SBCC, Small Business Consulting Corporation, are a part of the Air Force's CCIT initiative. That's the Commercial Capabilities Integration and Transition. And we are ANAS, or Advisory and Assistance Service Providers to the federal government, meaning we're hired by them to find the technology that our warfighters need to be and remain superior. One of our emphasis is scouring the technology landscape to bring the Air Force and DoD technologies that they didn't even know existed. But what we really like to do is find out precisely what our military needs and is willing to put manpower, resources, and money towards, and go find solutions that meet that need. The military can be a lucrative partner for companies, but it can also be a hard, long road to navigate. The military's purpose, of course, has not been on being great business partners. Their focus has been on being a sharp sword, ready to be called upon when needed. So our purpose is to help the military work well with you, the businesses of the United States, and to make it easier for you to understand and do business with the military. It's always helpful to share that since the government has hired us, our services are free to the companies with whom we work. Now, as we get rolling here, just want to let you know this meeting is recorded. So it's of course common sense, but it bears repeating. Be careful when asking questions or making comments that may divulge any of your company's proprietary information. Do check out the links as well. In the chat, we'll have links to the pre-release information that's publicly available. If you have a question as we proceed through today's event and you want to ask a question live, please click the Q&A button at the bottom, not the chat, but the Q&A button, and ask the question there rather than in the general chat. We'll make sure that the TPOC sees and is able to answer those questions. We're also going to have some slides, and I'll be sure to pay attention to those. There's some key content on there, and I'll be reviewing that with you as well. AFWorks does give us some guidelines for these meetings, so we want to make sure that we are all on the same page what this meeting is about and what our left and right limits are. So just to be clear, for this 24.2 digital twin effort, we are in the pre-release period right now. That means questions should be limited to specific information related to improving the understanding of the topic requirements. That's it. Helping you understand the topic requirements that are given. No questions are allowed to be asked for advice or guidance on solution approach, nor may additional materials be submitted to the TPOC or SME. The reason for this is we want it to be a level playing field for all the companies that are involved. Be mindful again of how you ask your questions so that you're framing them the way you want and not sharing information you don't want to share. These topics can become highly classified quickly, so we'll purposefully avoid specific information as needed. Sometimes the TPOC will just not be able to answer if they feel that it's classified. So just be mindful of that. Now, in particular, this is a phase 1 cyber proposal, and the phase 1 proposal should be an explanation of your technology or solution. You're essentially proposing a 6-month research project to assess your tech, convince the Air Force that yours is the best approach, and if you're chosen, you'll work with a government customer to come up with a use case for it, and the specifics of how to adapt your solution will be listed in a follow-on phase 2 proposal. The phase 1 is a 6-month project. The period of performance is 6 months, and it's essentially, again, a research report, no prototyping. So when you ask questions today, if you're asked questions about building the prototype, those questions won't be answered because, again, that's not part of the scope of this meeting today and this effort. 6-month period of performance, $180,000 is the award, up to $180,000. And just so you're tracking for future reference, if you are selected for the phase 1 and then the follow-on phase 2, that is a 2-year period of performance usually, and up to 1.8 million currently. Those numbers can change, but that will give you some ballpark guidance. This is kind of the overall information that I wanted to share. You do have the slides before you giving some of the public information. Joel, if you're able to go to the 4 things not to do slide, that would be helpful. Yeah, I just want to make sure everyone sees this. You don't want to put all your effort into this proposal and have one of these simple things to just immediately disqualify you. And in any one of these 4 things will be an immediate disqualification. So because 180,000 is the max award for a phase 1, if you fill out the form and ask for $1 over that amount, then it will be a disqualification. So make sure that you don't ask for any more than 180,000. You can certainly ask for less, but more will be a problem. The period of performance is 6 months. If you ask for anything longer than 6 months, that will be a disqualification. Number 3, not submitting all the required documents. And then 4, just a topic that's not relevant. Hope that doesn't happen too often, but I want to make sure that you do see all those things so that you can avoid making those mistakes and you can get your tech in front of the government decision makers. I'm going to open up to the TPOCs here in just a moment, but when I do that, if you have a question, again, please click the Q&A button and ask your question there rather than in the general chat. And with that, I wanted to ask Mr. Don if he wanted to briefly introduce himself, what his qualifications are to be the TPOC for this event. And then, sir, if you would like, in your own words, just share what it is that you're looking for in this specific topic effort. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mr. Nathan Don.
Thanks, Cody. Appreciate that. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for your time and your interest. I think Cody had a great kind of build up to what we're trying to do. I'll just say real quick, here at Global Strike Command, we're in charge of 2/3 of the nuclear triad. And the one that we're specifically focusing on right now is the bomber leg. And me being a former B-52 radar navigator, weapons system officer, this is something that I think is very important to capitalize on the current technology to bring the B-52 here in the 21st century and keep it relevant for the next few decades into the 2050s, 2060s. So in order to do that, we're cost constrained. You hear about budget deficits and everything. So while we're modernizing, we have to keep affordability in mind. So in the objective, we the government need a government-owned model of, in this case, a B-52 aircraft, so we can keep up with the technologies that come as you see and integrate that so the B-52 or any other bomber platform is continuing to be relevant in this modern era with competing potential adversaries that don't follow the rules. They'll take any technology capability in their country and integrate it fully into their military forces. So hope we can answer your questions. Again, this is to help us integrate new capabilities into aircraft like the B-52, whether it's new engines, new things in the bomb bay, new turrets on the aircraft. We need a way to not spend 3 to 5 years in development and see how we can integrate it in all the systems, whether it's physical, electronic, hydraulic, etc. So I'll stop there and hand it back to Cody.
Very good. Thank you, sir. So with that, we're at the point where Mr. Don, if you're willing to share the questions that you would like to share that have come in prior to this call, you can ask those questions and then give those answers. And then after you run through whichever questions and answers you have, then we'll start taking live questions. So for those of you who are here today, as companies submitting your proposals, you can go ahead and start filling up the Q&A with your questions, and we'll take those in order. But again, first, Mr. Don will cover the ones that he has received prior to the meeting.
Thank you, Cody. We haven't received any, so we'll just roll right into the open forum Q&A. Thank you.
Okay, very good. The Q&A is now officially open. If you have questions for the technical point of contact, the expert in understanding what's needed in this effort, now is the time for you to go ahead and ask those questions. Again, please put those in the Q&A rather than the chat, and that way we can see them and answer them appropriately. So we'll give you a few minutes here to populate your questions. Nate, can you see the questions that's come in from Mr. Kessler?
Do you have initial focus area for model development, structures, mechanical systems, electrical systems?
So I would say for me personally, I'll let Mr. Johnson speak, but again, the focus area of the model is kind of like right now physical as far as the structures, but you know, it quickly goes into mechanical systems, and anything that we plug into is going to require electrical. So what you hit on are things that we would be interested in and would like to focus on. Again, just to give everyone some ideas. So here in the future, you know, it could be directed energy weapon systems. It could be how do we re-optimize the internal bomb bay of the B-52, where we held, say, 27 dumb bombs, we call them gravity bombs, just fell out and they had racks. Well, how do we utilize that space for advanced weapons or things that we could carry inside the B-52? So we're going to need that mechanical level, and things that we put in there will need power or cooling or heating. We'll also need to know environmental kind of risks to anything that we attach. So those are the kind of things that we're looking for. And let's see, do you see a demonstrable success with our model development? Ideally, yes, that's in the future. So anything that your capabilities that you want to propose or anything, we would want to have a model, a prototype, to see if you're progressing and meeting our intent and needs.
Prototyping won't happen until phase 2.
Yeah, prototyping won't happen until phase 2, after this first phase 1. Will there be drawing snippets available so we can get materials, double check thickness? Not sure about that one. See, drawing snippets. That's where I've had to work with Ms. Johnston.
Yeah. Can you read that for a second? sponsor this one.
or?
Yeah, I'll have to give it to my, give it to my.
Mr. Nuffer, we're gonna have to get back with you and the rest of the people on the chat. If you can, you can do it now or wait till the open period and repose this question in DSIP. So that way everybody can see the answer, and that way we have an actual tracking mechanism to get you the answer for this. We have to go back to the people who are authorized for distribution of that kind of material and that kind of information. So more to follow, but please, if you go into DSIP and post the same question, and we'll make sure Ms. Johnson or Mr. Don get back with you.
I'm writing that.
And Nick, I believe that there is a talking points document. It's in another Teams chat. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. We're trying to make sure that you see that. And if you or Nate would like to share any of that information on this call, you certainly can. In the meantime, we will continue to keep the Q&A open for questions. Now's a great time to ask if you have things that you would like to ask of the expert in this area who knows what the requirements are, knows what the target is, to make sure that you're getting your submission in and fitting it within your parameters. This is the right time to do that. Thereafter, so that we're all clear too, after pre-release period, there is a month of open period where questions can continue to be asked, but they have to be asked through the DSIP, the Defense Cyber Center Innovation Portal, and those questions are all public, and the answers will also be public as well. So just be aware there's another opportunity to ask questions after this, but this is your only chance to ask direct questions directly to the TPOC and get a live answer. The question that's on the screen now, Mr. Don, I think there may have been multiple from this individual. Do you see this second question? Will there be drawing snippets available so we can get materials, double check thickness, etc.?
Come on.
Yeah, we answered that a second ago, Cody.
Okay. I think there were multiple. I just want to make sure that one got answered. Another question coming in from Mr. Kessler. I'll give you a moment to read that, digest it, and you can respond how you like.
So on this one, it's a good point. You know, we do want that high fidelity model, and from aircraft to aircraft, it's not going to be exactly the same. So it will be kind of a tail by tail due to, you know, the accuracy that we want to strive for. You know, I think it is a crawl, walk, run. Something is better than nothing. So, you know, I don't want to try to aim at hitting a home run off the bat, but I do want to recognize, you know, with the accuracies that we want, it probably will drive a tail by tail specific. Plus, through the next decade and a half at least, we're going to have varying configurations of the B-52 aircraft. We'll have some aircraft that have a new engine in it, we'll have aircraft that will have a new engine and a new radar, or a new engine with no new radar. So there's going to be several kind of permutations as we modernize the B-52 here in the next decade and a half, for sure. So I hope that answers your question.
Will I be able to go back and look at even the answered questions if I want to add to them?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll get a copy, like a transcript of all this?
Yeah, we'll get you.
Okay.
Sure.
And I will again reiterate one more time that this model, we may have to develop this, in a worst case situation, without anything, depending on what Mr. Johnson said about some data may not be releasable due to distribution restrictions. So we, the government, would provide access to the aircraft or aircrafts to gain that data for the model development. Again, it has to be government owned. We're not going to rely on Boeing or any OEM because the cost of getting the data has been prohibitive. We just can't afford it. So this is our way of getting that data on our own, not necessarily with any cooperation with OEM.
Very good. Thank you, sir. The Q&A is open. We will give you some more time to get your questions in. One question that I have from another source here that I'll go ahead and ask Mr. Don. What are the anticipated pressing issues, failure causes, resulting in system downtimes?
Wow, there's a lot of things. So the B-52 aircraft were developed in 60 and 61. So through the decades, a lot of the companies that were producing parts and stuff, no longer provide those sustainable parts. There are multiple issues that we just work through to keep aircraft availability to where we need it. So through the years, it's going to be a continuing issue because just the parts and stuff were developed and sustained many decades ago. So that's another reason for this, is to develop suitable substitutions to various parts, gaskets, hydraulic hoses, any system that has hydraulics, electronics, fuel systems, ejection seats, and again, the way that we connect things to the aircraft that we want to make sure that don't rip apart in flight. So, we need to make sure that, the structures that we attach things or integrate into are sufficient, satisfactory to airworthiness. So, yeah, the answer to that is there are many. And that really drives to kind of another issue that we plan on, pursuing. Now, that generates another overhead statement. I realize that the topic is more inclusive than what we can get to, but the overall objective is what is stated. It may take a series of specific topics in other venues, working with the B-52 program office and the B-52 PEO, who is the manager, overall manager for all aircraft platforms, bomber that is. So I'll stop there if there's any other follow-on questions.
Right here.
Okay. Follow-on contracts, is it anticipated that we have access to stripped down portions of the aircraft to allow scanning technologies? Yes, you will have access. We will coordinate with the B-52 program office to provide access to the aircraft to conduct scans for the things that we want. And again, the overall goal is a whole digital twin of the B-52. And again, in my experience, decades in test and as a MAGCOM requirements manager, I routinely get the question, and the B-52 SPO gets a question on getting access to aircraft, to look at the dimensions, to integrate to. So ideally, if we had a perfect digital model, we wouldn't have to have that coordination for companies to do a site visit to a base, with ongoing operational events going on. It's very, right now, it is kind of complex and takes a little bit to gain those accesses. So if we have a digital model, we can give to more companies and stuff to work on different capabilities that we're looking to integrate onto the B-52.
There's a second question.
Is there a software integration plan as part of phase one?
Phase one.
Not phase one. So, the software piece is something that's, I guess, if you can be a little bit more specific in what you are thinking software integration, because there's software in different components of a capability, a new capability to integrate. There is also the core aircraft avionics, which also has to be eventually, touched for complete integration. But we have the capability to operate things in a federated way. Whether we have a ruggedized laptop that goes into the aircraft for control of various things that we may prototype and develop, and then a parallel plan if that is something that the government wants to pursue and fund as a program of record. That's a parallel path to total aircraft integration to include software. An avenue of this question that I'm not touching upon that you're intending, please elaborate.
Great, thank you, sir. And wanted to ask this too. You can decide, Mr. Don, whether you think it's helpful to elaborate, but wonder if it would be helpful to expand upon the layers of the digital model too, structural, electrical, et cetera.
Yeah, again, the first layer is the physical model, the external layer of the B-52. And I will say that over the course of recent years, there's several companies that have been utilizing SIBRs and other activities to develop training or work toward a digital model. The B-52 program office is working on something like this. And our intent here in our division, Commercial Capabilities Integration and Transition, is to synergize and to kind of build upon that. We're not doing anything not in parallel with the program office because ultimately they're the owners of the aircraft. They own operational safety, suitability, and effectiveness. So we want to dovetail into the overall B-52 program office design and plan.
Okay, very good. Thank you, sir. There's another question set up in the queue from Mr. Kessler. And while this is being asked, again, just so the rest of the companies know, we have got about another half hour for questions to be asked. So be queuing those up and sending those in while these current ones are being asked and answered.
Okay, you want to?
And let me just say as well too, it might be helpful. I'm not sure what all is viewable by the companies. It might be helpful to read the question aloud so that everyone understands what's being asked.
Sure. AFL-CMC has published efforts to develop digital twin models for other legacy weapon systems, such as NIAR's work to develop 3D models for B-1 and F-16. Is there an unmet technology capability driving pursuit of a digital twin for B-52 set by a SBIR program versus expansion of existing programs?
So are they asking, instead of doing what NIAR is doing, is that what they're asking on this question? Is there an unmet technology gap driven pursuit of a digital twin? I mean, I'm a little confused.
I will say in general that I would say yes, because the digital twin per se for a B-1 F-16 wouldn't necessarily provide the data for future integration in the various systems that we're talking about. So like right now in the B-1 and F-16, it may be more for sustainment purposes because of parts obsolescence or training. I think training is a common denominator that we want to take advantage of, but that's not the only thing. So, I will say, and I do say this in a lot of things, we, the government, don't know what we don't know. So I don't pretend to know everything about digital model, digital twin, and there's a lot of smart people out there that have capabilities that we haven't seen yet, and that's what we're trying to attract. And so I'll say we are aware of NIAR's work in other weapon systems. The program office is looking into that, but we're not stopping there. We're looking at other things, again, to ideally have a model that does it all, that the government owns, whether it's putting a new advanced weapon inside the bomb bay or on a wingtip or in the back and the tail or a new sensor. All these things right now take a lot of time because it's the company going to the aircraft, the company trying to get proprietary data from the OEM. It's a process that's very costly and time intensive, and we're trying to collapse that. We're trying to make it more affordable and timely to meet the advancements of our enemy. They're not waiting on us. They're developing advanced technology, weapons, and ways to counter, our military forces. So we need something that we can potentially do in parallel, right? So because of manpower limitations and the availability of allowing companies to have time on aircraft and such. If we have a digital model, we can shotgun this model to various efforts in parallel so we can get after things quicker and more affordably. I hope that answers your question.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir. The Q&A is open. I have a couple other questions from another source that I'll ask. But again, for you companies here, the Q&A is open. So if you would like to ask something, you will be the next to be answered. I wanted to ask this, Mr. Don, and if you're interested and willing to give an answer, it may be helpful. Since the B-52H is the target platform for integration of this technology, will the Air Force provide access to system-level schematics, technical manuals, etc., of the B-52H systems?
We kind of answered that before, but we're working with we'll work with the program office to see what we can distribute. There are certain things that are limited distribution because of OEM proprietary rights.
I think we do have like stuff that's in JetX and things like that. And I think we would have to get access.
Yeah, there are things,
There are things that we can provide.
Yeah, there are things that we can provide. There may be things that we can't provide.
Yeah,
and we will have to work around that, so that may generate other specific topics or whatnot, because we want to have an entire model that is government owned.
Copy. Very good. Thank you, sir. Q&A is still open. I have one other from another source that I'll ask, and that'll give a few more minutes for companies to ask their questions. I'll ask this question, sir. Does the Air Force recommend partnering with the prime for this topic to help with the integration efforts?
The answer is no. Again, working with a prime just keeps us in this current paradigm where we basically vendor lock with the OEM to do integration work of future capabilities. So it's right now unaffordable to work in this current paradigm. We want to change that paradigm to a fully government-owned data model where we don't have to rely on any company.
Copy. Thank you, sir. That's all I have. We will. Okay, here's another question coming in. Is there an existing configuration control / PLM solution in use by the B-52 SPO or Air Force Global Strike Command?
The answer is yes. Ms. Johnson, if you want to go. So yes, there is a configuration control.
And we have an existing configuration control system that we use now, but if they're asking us about the Air Force PLM solution,
Was that something different? Oh.
That's digital. I mean, that's what we're going to. Okay. I guess that's what they're asking. Is that the Air Force PLM solution? I need him to clarify that question.
Yeah, we need some clarification.
We have current configuration control that we use for B-52, but if he's asking / Air Force PLM, I guess.
That's what we would be striving for in the future.
That's the future state.
Yep.
Would it be helpful, Mr. Kessler, for us to unmute and allow you to kind of speak to that?
Sure.
Joel, if you'd like to do that, that'd be great.
Thanks. If you can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I was asking is if the B-52 SPO, so I know like Siemens Team Center, for example, is being adopted by many weapon systems. I was wondering if the B-52 SPO has already decided to adopt, say, Team Center or another PLM solution as this digital transformation is going forward.
So we're in a B-52 program office in the process of doing digital transformation / digital engineering, and it means different things for different folks. So we are lockstep with what the Air Force PLM solution is. So we're lining up what the Air Force is doing. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, very good. We have no further questions. We'll pause for another minute or two to see if anything else comes in. And if not, then we'll close here shortly. Do want to go ahead and use this time to say thank you for coming, for participating, for your work in the technology arena and being interested in working with the United States Air Force to bring that technology to bear. We need your technical skills, your wisdom, your ingenuity, your efforts, and hopefully be able to partner with you, and it will be mutually beneficial. If you do have any questions that you think of later, did not receive an answer, of course, you have the TPOC that you can reach out to. You have the DSIP portal. If there's questions related to SBCC or to SIBR questions that may not be the realm of the TPOC, feel free to email me, cody.ray@smallbcc.com, and I'd be happy to be a help in any way. Joel, you can, if you want to pop that in the chat, just that way they have my email, so they'll have a point of contact after this is over. I'll wait another moment or two here, and if not, we'll draw this to a close here shortly. Any last questions for the technical point of contact for the digital twin effort on the B-52? All right, I'm not seeing anything else. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone for participating. And we look forward to your submissions, working together in the future to strengthen this platform, the B-52. Thanks again for joining us today. Bye-bye.